The die is cast.
Hello everyone, my name is Constantine III, and today we're going to be talking about this new Vayne build. Thank you, you're too It's a homebrew of mine, although I don't claim to be the first one to actually come up with this. It does feel really strong though. I'm still working out exactly how to play it, so I don't have a great win rate with it at the moment, but it honestly feels vastly superior to the old Vayne build, and I think this build will make a real change and make Vayne very much so a pickable ADC in the current meta. Alright, let's cut the chatter and get into exactly what the build is. So the build is, you start either Doran's 1 health pot or Longsword 3 health pots, depending on the lane. I'll make a video on that later. Into Blade of the Ruined King, get your Cutlass first, and then go for a longbow. Into Berserker Greaves, into Static Shiv, into an Infinity Edge, into either, a QSS, a Phantom Dancer, a Bloodthirster, whatever you feel like you need after that. Maybe a Lord Dominic's Regards, I don't know, I'm not playing your game, you are. For runes and masteries, same runes, no change, you're welcome, I'm saving you so much IP with this build. And instead of Warlord's Bloodlust, you're going to go Fervor of Battle, and instead of the Cunning Tree, you're going to go the Resolve Tree in order to pick up the extra 8% healing from Lifesteal and the 15% reduced cooldown on your Summoner spells. So this build has a number of advantages included in it. The thing that surprised me the most about this build is how damn useful the Lifesteal is from BORK in lane. So many times I would make poor trades in lane and be able to just, in one minion wave, sustain back all the damage, completely nullifying any poke that a Jhin or a Lucian or a Varus had landed on me in lane, which actually helps you limp through the laning phase a lot as Vayne. This even gives her a kind of okay laning phase. She's moved from Vayne, the absolute worst laner of all time, to more of a mediocre laner, like a Twitch or something. But more so than a better laning phase, this build, because of Fervor of Battle, gives you a much stronger mid-game. Before, I would always advise you guys, before you get into a team fight, you really gotta have your Berserker Greaves, you really gotta have your Infinity Edge, you really gotta have your Static Shiv. If you just have a BORK, baby, you are good to go. You can get in there and fuck shit up. You're ready to duke it out, to dine and deal 'em, wheel 'em and deal 'em in mid-game teamfights with Fervor. Once you get up to 8 stacks at level 8, that's giving you something like, 16, somewhere roughly around 33 extra attack damage, which is really nice. That's almost a free BF sword, which is
very spicy.
What is even more spicy is that the lifesteal on BORK is automatically 8% more effective because you went the Resolve tree. You can also flash and heal 15% more often, which shockingly actually has saved my ass way more times than I would like to admit. This mastery is really freaking good. It's a lot better than that shitty-ass dangerous game that you were taking earlier. Like, ugh, God, so much more useful. So yeah, give the build a try. I'm sure you're gonna like it. But some of you may also be asking yourselves, well, why now? Why is this build coming out now, and why could we not do this earlier? I haven't made videos in a while because Vayne was really, really terrible in the meta. I was playing Syndra and Jhin mostly, to be honest with you. But now Vayne is pickable again. So what happened? What changed? Number 1, Fervor of Battle got a seemingly insignificant, but in reality, very important buff to it. Instead of each stack lasting only 6 seconds, it now lasts 8 seconds. Also, in an earlier patch, they increased the amount of attack damage that you got per stack, meaning that at 8 stacks, you got 64 AD instead of it was like 50 or some shit. So now Fervor gives you more attack damage, and it lasts longer. This is important because Fervor lasting longer means that it can be active more often while we're in lane, and if it's active while we're in lane, that's going to give us more attack damage in laning phase, and in the mid-game, meaning that we'll be able to do more damage at those points in the game, which makes up for the fact that we're weak at those points in the game, and therefore allows us to more easily get a lead and go into the late game faster. Or at least, and this is important, make it to where having a Vayne on your team will not be complete dead weight until 2 items. And the higher ELO you go, the more and more important the early and the mid game get. That's why you don't see super late game hyper carries and high ELO, because what determines winning a game is the early game. Number 2, Warlord's Bloodlust is no longer a viable option to take on Vayne. Warlord's Bloodlust right now feels like when you buy Brussels sprouts at a grocery store, because they look really good on the frozen food packaging, and you go home and you stick them in the microwave and you pull them out and you're like, okay? And when you take a bite and you kind of want to puke into a bag because you realize that Brussels sprouts taste awful even though they look really, really good on the packaging. Yeah, that's Warlord's Bloodlust in 2017 at the moment. Now, I will concede this to Warlord's Bloodlust. It is very strong in the late game. If you land a huge crit for like 1,000 damage and you have your Warlord's proc up, it will do 50% of that damage will be converted to lifesteal and heal you. So it'll be a 500 damage heal, which is like, oh my god, that's insane. That's like one Syndra Q, am I right? So at that point in time, you'd think Warlords is super PogChamp. The problem is that it is the opposite of PogChamp in the laning phase. It is super weak compared to the fervor of battle. So my philosophy on Vayne is this. If you can make it through the laning phase, you will pretty much kick the shit out of anyone late game. So it doesn't matter how much better you can make your late game, it's already like pristine, it's already clean. So we're going to take the keystone that makes it to where our early game is good enough to get us to the late game, instead of the one that makes our late game even better than it already is, because that's redundant. You feel me? Also, and I'm sure this is obvious, BORK has been changed. It's now better. A lot of numbers have been moved around and refinangled. I think it's worth a video on itself to talk about it, but basically it's better early game now. And it's less focused on tank killing and more focused on general damage and sustain, and just an all-around, just really useful item. Like, BORK is so good right now because it covers all of the bases. Gives you a good amount of attack speed, good amount of attack damage, good amount of lifesteal, a decent active for slowing people down, little bit of burst damage seasoning on there to make it extra crispy when you purchase it. That gives you a really solid one-item power spike. And for a BORK purchase, like, you're getting your money's worth, man. You're covering all the bases, okay? Right now, yeah, the BORK rework, clean, Riot. Clean job on that BORK rework. Finally, and what seems to be the ever-recurring story when it comes to Shauna Vayne, everyone else got worse by comparison, so thus she is made better. Lethality items, Ghostblade, nerfed. Edge of Night, nerfed. That shit, not as good anymore in ADCs. You can't reliably have the spell shield work on Jhin or Misfortune or Varus or whatever. Lethality stats on both those items got lowered a little bit. Attack damage on Edge of Night got lowered, I'm pretty sure. Thus, your super awful lane bullies like Jhin and the lethality abusers in the bot lane, yada yada, they got worse, and now, hey, the potato Shauna Vayne rises from the earth like a carrot spudding after being trampled upon for so long. So that's my take on the build. That's why I think it's good. You see my reasoning. You see my thought process. Now I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys think the build is good? Do you think this is going to bring Vayne back into the meta? Do you have some homebrews that you want to share with me? A guy the other day shared with me a kind of creative recipe. I don't think it was that good, but, I appreciate the thinking. You guys have anything to give to me? I would love to hear it. Love to see if you guys have anything that can beat this build. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. More content coming real soon. Take it easy, guys, and have a good one.